Hi guys, and this is Jeff. It has really been a while, hey. I don't know if you guys know what happened in Hong Kong, but basically the topic of the national security law has hit the international headlines left, right and center. So, what is the national security law about? What do Hong Kong people think about it? And what do I think about their actions? You will find out in this video. But actually, what happened? All I can say is the Hong Kong citizens, as usual, woke up to a night of chaos with the protesters continuing to tear the city apart and creating messes all over the places. Okay, just to bring you guys up to speed on how they reacted to the national security law, here we go. Okay, before I get into the topic of the national security law, just from the fact that they are ignoring government's advice and blatantly defying social distancing rules, this in itself is very selfish because they're putting themselves and other people at risk in terms of public health. And also potentially there is a chance that a third wave of infection is gonna happen because of their behavior. So that in itself, they should totally be arrested by the police. Okay, let's dig into the main topic for today then. National security law. And to bring you guys up to speed, the law actually doesn't exist in Hong Kong at the moment, and China is in the process of implementing this law in Hong Kong. And what does this law involve? Under this new law, people will be punishable for the following behaviors. Number 1, treason. Number 2, subversion. And number 3, terrorism. And the most important detail, and that is probably what makes this law controversial, is that China is actually bypassing Hong Kong government and also the Hong Kong legislative system and directly applying this law in Hong Kong. So probably that's why there are so many backlashes from the international community. But then the media will be spinning that, it's actually Chinese Communist Party's evil claw to further restrict the freedom of Hong Kong. But this is actually so far-fetched from what they are claiming. One thing that I want to point out is that a lot of the Western countries actually have their own versions of national security law in order to protect the people within the country and to protect their own interests as well. So one great example is that how the US is actually applying the same set of laws in order to protect their own interests. I'm sure you guys are aware of the Australian journalist Julian Assange. He was actually arrested because he was leaking secret information about the US government on WikiLeaks. And obviously right now he's arrested. That is so much freedom for the US that they are standing for, right? If that's the case, how come Hong Kong cannot have their own version of national security law to protect the safety of the citizens within there according to their international standards? Whether you like it or not, Hong Kong is a part of China, although it has a different system and it has a special status. But at the end of the day, it is still a part of China. And without this law, it is indeed opening us up to a lot of external dangers. Imagine there is one day a foreign group actually invaded Hong Kong and tried to overthrow the government. What can we do without the law? There is no law that is applicable to arrest these people. If that is gonna happen in our soil, what can we do? Basically nothing without the laws. That's why the Chinese government is actually doing this in order to fill this legal loophole and to protect the safety of the citizens in Hong Kong. As opposed to what you see on mainstream media, which they never quote from the other side anyway, the Hong Kong officials have actually reassured that under the new law, Hong Kong citizens will continue to enjoy the existing freedom that they already have, and this remain unchanged. What is that involved? That is mainly the right to peacefully protest and also to criticize the government, and I know these are the main concerns that they have because they're worried that, oh, if I talk something bad about Chinese government or presidency, then I will get arrested. No, this is not the case. You will not be arrested just because you are bad-mouthing the Chinese government. I mean, if you're a law-abiding citizen, there is nothing that you should be afraid of under the new law. But obviously, it would be a different story if you're attacking a police officer or beating up innocent people or trying to destroy all the infrastructure in the city, setting up fires, hurling petrol bombs, which I think you'll be arrested if you are doing this in any countries in the world. And this is exactly what happened in the past year in Hong Kong, where they selfishly destroyed the city and brought the city's economy to a standstill. And that is the purpose that they want to achieve because of their selfish agenda. And alongside with Hong Kong's government's incapability to tame down these riots over the period, now China is forced to actually do something about it in order to solve these problems that has been deeply rooted in the city in the past year or so. And one thing that I'm really angry about the Western media and also these Western politicians is that they are basically instigating this mess in Hong Kong while they are doing all the talk without actually helping Hong Kong people to fight for the democracy and freedom that they stand for, which is questionable, but that is at least what they stand for, they claimed. The same thing goes to Trump and Pompeo, who claim to be, oh, I stand with Hong Kong people. I stand with Hong Kong people. I know Hong Kong people are already so complacent just because they receive these tweets from these high-profile people and to compliment on what they are doing at the moment. But what these Hong Kong protesters do not realize is that all of this is just a lip service. And of course, Trump stands with you guys, Hong Kong people, because you guys are doing the exact same thing that he wants to happen, which is basically tearing our city apart because our loss is their gain. You guys have to realize that. In their eyes, the more petrol bombs, the more chaotic, the better. They don't even have to start a war these days with a low cost of just publishing a tweet, and they could already motivate you guys to go out onto the streets and destroy their own city. How convenient is that? They didn't even have to send any troops to Hong Kong, and you guys are already shooting yourself in the foot. Come on, if you're one of these protesters who have been on the streets, think again. You are just one of these puppets to these politicians. They are basically cashing in with the chaos that you have created. Meanwhile, you are actually the one who is in the front line and potentially paying the consequences for the actions that you have made. And what are the consequences? Obviously, getting arrested and potentially go to jail. It really makes me so sad when people keep saying, oh, I'd rather get arrested than losing my freedom. That's why I have to be in the front line and fight the power. It really makes me sad because I just realize how misinformed they are, and it really doesn't have to be this way. But if Hong Kongers are actually complaining about how they are losing their so-called freedom, and mind you, Hong Kong was actually the third freest region in the world back in 2019. You guys really only have yourselves to blame. Because the protesters were the ones who acted mischievously and destroyed their own city, and when you're not being grateful of what you have been given, and also being disrespectful of other people's opinions and their freedom, your privileges are automatically revoked. And today, we see the consequences. At the end of the day, the choice is yours. And mind you, individual choice is a building block of democracy, by the way, which is the one thing that they claim to be fighting for. You could have chosen to protect and build a city, but you have chosen the opposite instead, to interrupt people's day-to-day life, to hurt police and innocent people, to choose selfishness over the greater good of the society. As I said in the previous videos, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. As simple as that. Don't cry foul play when you guys are the ones who blatantly broke the law. to beat up people who don't agree with you guys, and the most importantly, destroy the city that we all love. Enough with the crocodile tears. Wake up, Hong Kong people. You guys are better than this.